Today, we're going to talk about the single tactic that will help you build a massive cult following for your brand. This method ties directly into our primal human needs, it's baked into our DNA, and if you use it correctly, it can create a community of millions of people all around the world. And the interesting thing about this process is it's one of the least talked about topics when it comes to branding and one of the most powerful in terms of actually connecting people to your brand. If you want to build an audience of millions of fans, which will in turn create your dreams of freedom and wealth, you're going to need to understand today's topic, which is how to create a brand belief system and how that ties into your brand. Every great brand, well-known music artist, religion, or cult, pun intended, is built on a foundation of rich and emotional brand beliefs. Strong, defined belief systems allow human beings to join communities that center around those beliefs. If you give someone guidelines on a belief system and present it in a compelling way, they can easily decide if it's something that they want to belong to and adopt into their own identity. By using a well-defined belief system, you can convert someone from "I like this" to "I am this." And when you do that, you psychologically connect them to your brand and its offerings for life. They aren't just saying, "I like this." They're saying that I identify with this community and it's a reflection of me. Whether you're a music brand, fashion brand, or product company, understanding today's topic will put the most powerful tool brand has to offer in your toolkit, and it will allow you to compete with the best in the world with whatever it is you're trying to build. So who am I to even talk about this topic? My name is Chris Alba, and for the last 15 years, I've been a brand strategist and creative director for some of the world's largest companies, as well as household name music artists. I started my creative agency, The Cult Creatives, 11 years ago. We've done tens of millions of dollars in business and have been blessed to create and execute thousands of campaigns and stories, often for international audiences. I've seen firsthand many times over that initial spark of a brand or story that starts connecting with an audience and how that spark becomes the fire that provides brands all kinds of financial success, as well as bringing the brand to the forefront of the conversation in that culture. And if there's one thing that I saw over and over again over the last 15 years was if a brand was using its belief system as a core element and then it had stealth storytelling, how that belief system converted people into involving themselves in the brand in all sorts of different ways. And that involvement could be things like buying products, buying tickets, sharing stories or content with friends, or showing up to the brand's pop-ups, shows, or community events. Without having clarity around your belief system and what your brand actually stands for, it'll be hard to build a true community of superfans. Even if you have a hit in whatever industry you're in, without brand beliefs and story, the eyes and ears that you earn from that hit will slowly start to float away. In today's video, I'm going to give you the exact step-by-step process on how to develop your own brand beliefs that you and your audience can participate in to show the faith you have in your brand. But before we deep dive into the process, let's first look at how these brand beliefs can draw people in and why do human beings crave belonging in the first place. Section 1, a human's need to belong. Okay, so imagine being born thousands of years ago. Not in a city or a house, but in the wild. Back then, survival meant sticking together. Being part of a group wasn't just nice, it was literally life or death. If you got kicked out of a group or left behind, chances are you wouldn't make it alone. That's why one of the primary fears that human beings have is dying alone. There's hard science that proves that our need to belong is hardwired into us. The people who stayed close to the group, who built strong bonds, those were the ones that survived long enough to pass on their genes to the next generation. So generation after generation, this instinct to connect and belong only got stronger. And although many of us today aren't living in a world of small tribes, this instinct is just as powerful. Our brains still treat belonging like a survival issue. That's why rejection feels as intense as it does, and why acceptance, whether it's a friend inviting you to hang out or a stranger smiling at you, feels as good as it does. Your brain reads those little moments as safety signals. Subconsciously, your brain thinks, we will survive. So when you think about building an audience, whether you're a music artist or a creative business, you're essentially a community builder. And it's important to know the game that you're in is more biological and psychological than it may be creative. Joining communities is part of our built-in survival DNA. There's an actual scientific concept called the need to belong theory, and it was created by Roy Baumeister and Mark Leary in the 1990s. They argued that the drive to form strong, lasting relationships is just as fundamental as hunger or thirst. This theory also explains why humans build so many different types of groups. From family groups to friend circles, clubs, online communities, fan groups of all kinds, music, sports, games, movies, shows. Every one of these groups is a way to meet deep psychological needs. Belonging is the invisible thread that ties all human culture together. So belonging isn't just a want, it's a need to survive. But in this, there's also strong science behind the consequences of feelings of not belonging. A lack of belonging can cause higher risks of depression, anxiety, and shorter lifespans. Have you ever heard the story of a widower or widow whose spouse passed away, and then within a few months, they also joined them? And then what about retirement? How quickly someone's health can decline and they pass away soon after retiring. Before retirement, they felt a feeling of being a part of something. They had purpose, a cause, and a belonging, and then all of a sudden, they didn't. Their mind acknowledged this shift, and then their body's physiological makeup changed just by a sense of a lack of belonging. So human beings need to belong. We're wired for it. But what do we do when we found something to belong to? How far will humans go to feel that sense of belonging? And how can you use this knowledge to build your own community? Section 2, the transformation into a belief system. The best branded communities have clear belief systems, but how is it that they get you in and keep you in? What's the psychology here? So to start, there needs to be a point of entry. So let's run this scenario. You've heard about a new community, and they've clearly presented you their beliefs and what they're all about. Based on your life experiences, you identify with those beliefs and you want in. But how do you get in? To become a part of a community, there has to be a point of conversion. A significant transformation will occur that brings you in. Gangs have initiations. Fraternities and sororities have pledge week. The army has boot camp. Exclusive country clubs have applications, but within the application, they also have sponsorships. An existing member of the club needs to recommend you to even be considered for entry. Another example could be buying your first product from a known clothing company, or buying your first ticket or piece of merch from a music artist. Each of these are examples of how to signal your commitment into the new community. There's a clear boundary that's set. This is who's in and this is who's not. There are pros and cons to being on either side, which is set by the brand's beliefs. Once a transformation occurs, you then take on the community with your own identity. Boot camp turns civilians into soldiers. Rush Week turns complete strangers into fraternity brothers and sorority sisters. The shared initiation and joining of the group gives members a story of belonging that they can carry with them forever. So now understanding the why and the power behind these belief systems, how are these systems actually made? What's the creative process for going about and creating a belief system for your own brand? So for those interested, we do have a workbook available to help walk you through the process of crafting your own brand beliefs. If you want that workbook, comment Cult Brand Beliefs. As always, there's no signups, no emails, no newsletters. It's just something I want you to have if you need it. Section 3, how to find your brand's beliefs. Okay, so now we've established how important these brand beliefs are for your brand, but let's get into the step-by-step process of creating your brand beliefs and its foundation. Step 1, define the enemy. A huge part of recruiting for a group or community is clearly defining the difference between being inside and being outside. Who opposes the group? Who is the enemy or who is the villain? Who's in opposition? An insider inside the group might think they don't believe what we believe. For example, this could be for people in a group who've decided to go and live off-grid. They oppose the people choosing the rat race world of the double espresso, the commute, the mundane 9 to 5, and the sleeping pill. In the fashion world, this could be fashion enthusiasts against those who don't care about their style or the details in the clothes they wear. Then for religions, this can be believers and non-believers. This also works for tech people. Think about Apple's campaign for I'm a Mac and I'm a PC. Clear opposing group of PC owners versus Mac owners. This also can be applied to workout groups like CrossFit or Pilates. Vegans versus carnivore. Quality versus mediocre. Gamers versus non-gamers. For military factions, there's all kinds of groups in opposition to them that they must defend against. Even Taylor Swift has her Swiftie army of devoted followers ready to defend her at any turn. Being a Taylor Swift fan isn't just that you enjoy the music. She's built an entire culture around her community of what it means to be a fan and how you must defend the things that you love and show up with truth and honesty. The number of shows that you've been to is like earning stripes in the army, deepening your connection with the group. So to recap, to start the process of creating your brand belief system, first define who the enemy is or who's in opposition to the group. Step 2, define the archetype. A big part of presenting a brand is defining what kind of brand it will be. A large part of this will be influenced by the brand's personality archetype. I have a previous video on the Neighborhood Art Supply channel where I go more in depth to brand personality archetypes. If you haven't seen that yet, it can be good to check so you have an understanding of this part for the brand building process. So for example, if you are a rebel or outlaw brand and you are primarily motivated by chasing freedom, this would influence your brand belief system and even how the brand beliefs themselves would be worded. Through that belief system, you'd be trying to attract others who identify as rebels or people that aspire to be more free. And then the same thing if you are a hero brand that stood for doing good things in the world and achieving those good things through hard work and sacrifice. This would attract other heroes into your brand. So your brand beliefs draft off of the overall personality and position of the brand itself. And before you start writing out your brand beliefs, it'll be important to define your archetype or your archetype blend. And remember, you can mix archetypes, but it's my recommendation that there's no more than 2. And if there is 2, that's an 80-20 split between those 2. 80% being one of the archetypes is more dominant, and then the other archetype is a spice that's part of the brand. And as a note here, some brands will have 3 and they'll go 70, 30, 10 for those 3. But in my opinion, that's a bit more advanced. So if you're new to this, I'd say try to have 1 or 2. And if it is 2, keep it at the 80-20. Step 3, mine for deep personal beliefs. So as we get into crafting our brand's belief system, let's first look at some overarching core beliefs of things that you personally believe, and you want to be sure that those things are a part of this brand. So a good exercise for this can be asking yourself this question. What if you had 5 billboards in 5 different locations all around the world? You worked out an agreement where no matter what, these billboards would stay up for the next 500 years. Each of these billboards could only have one single phrase on them, and these phrases would be phrases of encouragement that you'd be leaving for generations to come. These billboards would give the people who see them a glimpse into your point of view and how you see the world. So for example, some of these billboards could be things like this. Example 1, make things and share things. Example 2, freedom is all there is. Chase it with every breath. Example 3, life is hard, might as well laugh your way through. Example 4, do the right thing, no matter the cost. Example 5, there's so much we haven't explored, go further. Example 6, believe in the unseen power of the universe. Example 7, if everyone starts wearing white clothes, maybe it's time to put on something black. So this exercise, because of the setup of how you're thinking about it, can lead to some of your own personal core beliefs, things that are super important to you and how you see the world. And sometimes what can happen is once you see some of the ideas written out on paper, they can seem contradictory from one another, and that's okay. Don't worry about that. You have many sides to your personality, and you believe in a lot of different things. But it's good in this exercise to find some high-level core beliefs of what you're trying to put out in the world. These personal beliefs that you hold since you're the brand's builder can be foundational in creating the brand's belief system. And remember, this brand is a part of you, but it's not all of you. You're directing and presenting a movie, your brand, for an audience to experience. You want that movie to authentically tie into you in some way, but every side of you doesn't need to be in this movie. Keep in mind that the same guy who directed Mad Max Fury Road also did Happy Feet. Same guy showing 2 different sides of himself within 2 different brands. And that's where a lot of artists can struggle is they try to put too many things into their brand and they think it should showcase every side of them. So now that you have some of your high-level potential brand beliefs, let's go further into the weeds. Step 4. Ideate on beliefs. So in this exercise, you're now going to start coming up with belief concepts. You're going to write out as many as you can possibly think of. For this exercise, it can be good to work with friends, family, colleagues, other artists, or AI to come up with different ideas. There's no limit to how many you can come up with, and you'll start each one with "we believe" or "we do not believe." So here's a few examples of how those beliefs might read. And as a note, these don't tie into the same brand's belief system. These are all random. It's just meant to give you a sense of how they can be written. We believe different is better. We're comfortable with being different. We believe in being ourselves. We don't try to be anything we're not. We believe variety is beautiful. We believe there is power in diversity. We believe that it's time for a change. It's time to take down the old guard. We believe art can save the world. So then flipping the other way, we do not believe in following trends. We do not believe we need to fit in. We do not believe bigger is better. We do not believe in bending to the will of others. We do not believe in quantity over quality. We do not believe in genres or boxes when it comes to art. So write as many ideas as you can think of. It's all part of the process. Let it flow and think of it more like community beliefs and less like you, the person. What do you want this community to stand for? And what kind of like-minded ideals could bring people into the community? And as a note here, some artists will want to be extreme with these beliefs, and that can be good, but don't feel like you need to be. Just be true to what you want to build. For example, the band Rage Against the Machine, their political views are a big part of their brand and their brand's belief system. And that works for them and their community. While Michael Jordan and the Jordan brand have said from the beginning that their brand, they don't want to get involved in politics. That's not what the brand's about. It's all about greatness and style, not politics. So there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what's right for you. Step 5, edit down and form the system. So for this section, you're editing. You're looking at your list and you're trying to find the ones that hit hardest and the ones that are most aligned to what you're trying to build. When you look at the full lineup of your beliefs, which for us and the clients that we work with at Cult, generally I like to get 6 to 12 beliefs for the full system. And when you look at the full lineup, you're asking yourself these questions. Does this feel like a complete, well-rounded set of beliefs? Do these beliefs feel emotional? Would they tug on the heartstrings of other people? Are there any redundancies? You're saying the same thing twice, but in different ways. Does it feel unique to you and your brand? Can you go out in the world and own these beliefs as its community leader? So once you've done this edit, there's 2 more steps which are crucial to completing the system, and I'll explain those in a later section, but here they are. Step 6 will be do the archetype test, and step 7, do the full stress test on the brand belief system as a whole. So now that you have an understanding of the belief system psychology, you've ideated on some of your own, you have a good sense of what those might be, I thought it might be valuable to look at some examples from other artists and other brands, and this could bring even more clarity to how you're building out your own system and developing those beliefs. And as a quick note before we get into these examples, something I've seen over the last decade working with Cult is how powerful these brand belief systems can be. For me, in my point of view, I believe that the brand belief system is more important than the actual product. Whatever it is that you're creating, whether that's music, shows, coffee, or clothes, your belief makes up the brand and it's the flag. When you plant that flag in the sand, it fully represents what the brand stands for and what it's all about. The belief system gives the brand meaning. This meaning will draw people in, and this meaning can create an army, and that army will not only follow the flag, they'll carry it. So you'll see in the coming examples why I might feel this way, that when the brand's belief system is clear, you're attaching product to that belief system. And when people buy product or they engage with music, they become part of the brand and they feel that sense of primal human belonging. Section 4. Examples. So for this section, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at a bunch of different fashion brands and music artists, as these are some of the best examples of where beliefs and story can be attached to different offerings. I'll define what I believe their archetype is, and then I'll give examples of their brand beliefs. Some of these are actual brand beliefs that the companies or artists have had as forward-facing elements, and then some of them are just my educated guess. For each brand, I'll first define the belief concept, and then I'll give the belief itself with a brief explanation. All right, so let's get into it. Carhartt. Everyman brand personality archetype. Concept. Work ethic as identity. Belief. We believe work isn't just a job, it's a way of life. Carhartt's core belief is that hard work defines character. The brand isn't about status or luxury, it's about getting the job done. Their gear is built for blue-collar workers, farmers, builders, mechanics, and people whose livelihood depends on the durability and function of their clothes. Concept. Durability over trend. Belief. We believe when we create things, those things should be built to last. Carhartt believes in longevity, clothes that last through harsh conditions, years of wear, and countless repairs. They reject fast fashion and disposable culture. Their products are a promise that quality and resilience matter more than passing trends. Concept. Quality over efficiency. Belief. We do not believe in shortcuts. We are dedicated to taking the time and preparation and put quality above all else. The Carhartt brand is rooted in craft and quality. This mirrors the culture of the working class that it's made for. A focus on craft and a dedication to quality work regardless of how long it takes. Concept. Community and brotherhood and sisterhood. Belief. We believe we can rise together through shared effort and shared struggle. Carhartt's brand mythology celebrates a tribe of workers. Wearing Carhartt signals that you're part of a brotherhood and sisterhood. This is a tribe of people who value grit, reliability, and self-reliance. It's a uniform of belonging for those who work with their hands. Concept. Utility is beauty. Belief. We believe true style comes from usefulness. Where luxury brands glorify aesthetics, Carhartt finds beauty in function. Reinforced seams, triple stitching, deep pockets, form follows function. Their design philosophy is that utility itself is a kind of style, and that's a reflection of what one cares about. Concept. Respect for heritage. Belief. We believe in representing our history and where we come from. We don't forget where we clocked in. Carhartt fiercely believes in its history. It was founded in 1889 in Detroit and still reflects a Midwestern blue-collar value system. Their heritage is not just nostalgia, but proof of a long story of showing up, providing, and being consistent. Concept. Evolution without losing roots. Belief. We believe in evolution and adaptation, but we never leave behind our core. Although Carhartt's been embraced by many cultures like luxury fashion, streetwear, and skate, the brand never abandoned its worker-based DNA. It adapts to new audiences while holding firm in its foundation of what it represents. Next, we're going to look at a Mime Leon Dore, creator brand personality archetype. Concept. Everyday luxury. Belief. We believe the everyday also deserves refinement. Unlike luxury that's reserved for specific occasions, ALD believes in elevating the everyday. Sweatshirts, sneakers, hoodies, and varsity jackets. Their idea of luxury isn't about being untouchable. It's about making even the most casual piece feel intentional, considered, and timeless. Concept. Nostalgia as identity. Belief. We believe in our history. The 1990s in Queens raised us alongside our Greek heritage. Greece and Queens streets are where we mine our creative ideas. ALD believes in the emotional power of memory. Their storytelling leans into 1990s New York City, vintage sportswear, old school hip hop, classic cars, and Mediterranean roots. Nostalgia isn't a gimmick, it's their point of view and how they connect. Concept. Refinement without pretension. Belief. We believe elevated doesn't mean exclusive. With ALD, they fuse street clothing with luxury tailoring, but they don't position themselves as elitists. ALD is aspirational, but it feels approachable. Leather loafers sit beside hoop jerseys, and sneakers sit beside cashmere coats. Concept. Storytelling is style. Belief. Every piece should tell a story. ALD believes clothing isn't just fabric, it's a narrative. Their campaigns feel like films. Their lookbooks feel like scenes from a movie. The story sells the garment as much as the garment sells the story. Concept. Quality over excess. Belief. We believe in making fewer things, but making them right. ALD rejects the noise of disposable fast fashion. Each piece is designed with craft, fabric, and detail in its core. It's not about endless drops, but about building a wardrobe over time, an investment in quality and consistency, and a value-driven price. Next up, we have Rick Owens, Rebel Brand Personality Archetype. Concept. Beauty lives within darkness. Belief. We believe true beauty is found in what others fear or ignore. Rick believes beauty isn't always polished, colorful, or pretty. There's elegance in the raw, the asymmetrical, the gothic, and the imperfect. Concept. Rebellion through restraint. We believe true rebellion is subtle, not loud. While other brands scream rebellion through logos or noise, Rick channels it through stark design choices, long silhouettes, and stripped-back color palettes. His work and his brand position is a rejection of the status quo. Concept. Clothing as architecture. Belief. We believe design should create a feeling. It's more than just function. Rick treats fashion like brutalist architecture. His designs are imposing, sculptural, experimental, and uncompromising. He believes clothes should shape how you feel and move through the world, not just be something that you're wearing. Concept. Vulnerability as power. Belief. We believe exposing our human fragility and vulnerability makes us powerful. Rick often shows raw skin, elongated proportions, or exaggerated silhouettes that make the wearer look monumental, exposed, alien, or even weird. Concept. Monochromatic purity. Belief. We believe color distracts from form. Rick largely works in black and white and muted tones. His belief is that stripping away color allows the silhouette, cut, and texture to carry the message with purity. His attention to form is a focus in his work, and this allows the viewer to focus more on the form and less on loud logos and color mixes. Concept. The outsider is the hero. Belief. We believe the ones outside the gates are the ones who can potentially change the world. From his own journey as an outcast in fashion to a cult audience of followers, Rick elevates the outsider and the rebel. His community is built around those who never fit in, but who seek freedom in all forms. For the next brand, we have one of our clients, Otmar's PK, which is a ruler brand personality archetype. Concept: craftsmanship is sacred. Belief: we believe true value is created by the human hand, not a machine. AP believes in mastery passed down through generations. Every timepiece represents skill, patience, and precision. AP, by its own admission, is the opposite of mass production. Concept: tradition fuels innovation. Belief: we believe in honoring tradition, but never being bound by it. While deeply rooted in Swiss heritage, AP thrives on breaking boundaries. Their belief is that innovation should come from respecting tradition, not from abandoning it. They try new paths and new techniques, but they never leave behind their original traditions. Concept: exclusivity creates meaning. Belief: we believe not everything should be for everyone. AP produces a limited number of watches each year, ensuring scarcity and prestige. They believe rarity increases cultural and emotional weight. The scarcity is part of the story, the relationship, and the meaning an owner has with one of their pieces. Concept: rules of rule breaking. Belief: we believe to break the rules, you must first master them. AP embraces bold risk-taking that redefines categories. The Royal Oak and its launch was a pinnacle moment in the brand's history and its point of view, rewriting the rules of what watch pricing looked like. It was a steel watch priced like gold. It was priced that way because of the innovation and mastery behind the steel, not the brass tacks price. A confidence in their mastery allowed them to break the rules set by the status quo. Concept: community of connoisseurs. Belief: we believe the few who understand create the culture for many. AP doesn't chase mass approval. It cultivates a tight-knit global community of collectors, creatives, and cultural figures who understand and share the brand's values. Concept: boldness as elegance. Belief: we believe elegance doesn't whisper, it's spoken proudly by the bold. Where many luxury houses hide an understatement, AP believes bold proportion, visible screws, and sharp edges can be elegant. They take a bold approach to their designs, collaboration, and marketing. They believe true taste doesn't need to play small. Okay, so those were brand belief examples for clothing brands. Now let's look at some music brands. Justice, rebel and creator brand personality archetypes. Concept: dance music can have teeth too. Belief: we believe electronic music can hit just as hard as a live band. Justice believes electronic music doesn't have to be polished or sterile. Their rock and punk infused soul can live just as comfortably with an electronic, disco, and club-style music. Concept: rebellion is freedom. Belief: we believe shows can feel like revolutionary moments. Their aesthetic, even from the beginning, of Marshall stacks, cigarettes, and leather jackets, gave Justice a rebellious punk feel. Their brand rejected the clean, safe side of EDM. Each Justice show was viewed as an opportunity for timeless moments of revolution. The energy at one of their shows could feel more like an arena rock show versus a typical club night or dance act. Concept: iconography creates connection. Belief: we believe a defined visual language and strong set of symbols can speak just as loudly as the music. Justice started as graphic designers, so they know the power of symbols and a cohesive visual language. The cross symbol is one of the most recognizable logos in music. Justice believes that symbols, design, and visuals are just as important as the sound in creating culture and building their audience. Concept: raw meets polish. Belief: we believe in keeping it real and raw. Even as they headline festivals, Justice carries the spirit of bedroom producers and punks. In recent years, they've swapped the leather for suits, but they continue to mine ideas from the past, and they believe in keeping things gritty, distorted, hands-on, and imperfect. Their work is always presented with a level of thoughtfulness and polish, and they always find a way to make it their own. Concept: mystique over exposure. Belief: we believe mystery can often make a voice louder. Unlike DJs who flood social media with content, Justice remain reserved and mysterious. They still believe in the mystique of the rock star, letting the art and visuals speak louder than a constant social media presence. Next up, we have Rufus de Soul, explorer meets caregiver, brand personality archetype. Concept: music is medicine. Belief: we believe sound can heal the human spirit. Rufus believes their songs can be more than entertainment. They are emotional healing tools. Their music creates catharsis, release, and solace for the people navigating life's highs and lows. When listening to Rufus music, the hope is that it can be the soundtrack for feeling healed. Concept: togetherness is sacred. Belief: we believe that when we gather, we can become one. The Rufus shows can feel almost like sacred moments. Tens of thousands of people united, singing together under open air. Rufus believes in creating moments of unity and dissolving boundaries between strangers through the shared experience of art and music. The attention to presentation of how their shows are presented is a huge part of their brand's beliefs. Concept: nature is a stage. Belief: the natural world is the greatest venue. Rufus's music videos and live settings often use deserts, oceans, and vast landscapes. They believe nature amplifies music's spiritual power. There's a deeper human connection when it comes to nature, and Rufus is keen to present that. Concept: light in darkness. Belief: we believe hope lives even in shadows. Unlike EDM's typical high-energy packaging, Rufus leans into the bittersweet and the real. Light in the darkness. Their lyrics and visuals can often touch on despair, but they always end with light breaking through the darkness. They believe the contrast between light and darkness is what makes hope meaningful. Concept: authenticity over trend. Belief: we believe in staying true to oneself over following and adhering to trends. Even though they have a massive audience, Rufus avoids chasing trends. Their sonic identity is authentically them, and within a few bars of a song, you can almost instantly tell that it's Rufus. For the next music brand, we have John Summit, who historically has been an Everyman brand personality archetype, but is currently transitioning to a hero brand personality archetype. So as we run the belief system, I'm going to do it from the point of view of the Everyman brand. Concept: the party is the point. Belief: we believe life is a celebration of friendship and togetherness. John Summit believes music isn't just for listening, it's for living. It's the soundtrack for life's bonding moments. His brand is about nightlife, the after-hours parties, and turning every set into a communal moment amongst his friends. Concept: honesty is relatability. Belief: we believe being yourself is better than being perfect. Summit is fully himself and real in how the brand is presented. He shares his crazy world, his humor, his hangovers, and his flaws, all with his fans. He believes being real is more powerful than being polished. The only way to truly connect is to be yourself. Concept: fans are friends, not followers. Belief: we do not believe in fans, we believe in friends. Summit's online persona feels like you're hanging out with him at an after party. He doesn't believe in the hierarchy of artist to fan. He believes we're all on the same level and we can all be friends. Concept: find the energy. Belief: we believe energy can connect us on the highest level. Where some DJs obsess over flawless technicality, Summit embraces raw energy and moments. The moments themselves matter more than the perfection around the technical ability. Find the energy, find the connection. Concept: real humor. Belief: we believe humor can connect us just as much as a good track. From memes to self-deprecating posts, Summit believes humor builds connection and disarms ego. The relatability part of his brand is presenting himself the same way he would with his close friends. The sense of humor and comfort you have amongst your friends can be one of the most bonding elements of that friendship. Summit uses this to build his community. Concept: music is a lifestyle, not a job. Belief: we believe that to embody the music, you must live it. Summit isn't just performing, he's living the same party life as his fans. He believes DJing is an extension of who he is. It's a way to build a community, and it's a way to connect. Next for music brands, we have Billie Eilish, who is a creator and rebel brand personality archetype. Concept: vulnerability is strength. Belief: we believe embracing your scars makes you stronger. Billie believes in exposing raw emotions, depression, anxiety, longing, angst, and not hiding them. She treats openness as power, not as a weakness. Concept: expression comes from the internal, not the external. Belief: we believe the goal is to be truthful and authentic, even if society says otherwise. Billie rejects industry stereotypes of how a pop star should look or act. Billie built her brand by refusing polish and embracing what she thought was cool. She subverted expectations with horror-inspired visuals in a pop landscape and whispery vocals a la James Blunt instead of belted held notes. Concept: family and creative integrity first. Belief: stay true to the people and process that made you. From the beginning, her music has been crafted with her brother Phineas. She believes artistry comes from intimate, trusted collaborations. She's particular in who she keeps in her creative circle and whose opinion she listens to. Her relationship with Phineas not only affects what's being made, but affects how it's being made. Concept: youth has a voice. Belief: age doesn't limit impact. Billie represents the new generation in a way that's different than other artists. She's unapologetic in addressing topics like mental health, climate change, and body image. She believes young people's voices matter in shaping culture. Her honesty, her experience, and her point of view is her voice, and that voice is a reflection of her true emotions. Because through the honesty of presenting what she cares about, Billie has become one of the strongest voices of her generation. Concept: shadows can be alluring. Belief: we believe that there's beauty in dark things. Much like Rick Owens, some of Billie's early brand aesthetic embraced goth, horror, and melancholic visuals, turning darkness into something stylish. The dark side of her work in a pop world was unique, relatable, and even comforting. Concept: bottle the bedroom and take it to the stage. Belief: we believe the biggest stage can still feel like a bedroom. Even in arenas, Billie's shows feel personal and intimate. She sings quietly into the mic and has intimate moments with her fans. She believes global stardom doesn't need to lose intimacy. So I know this was a lot, but these were some examples of brand belief systems and how this exercise is meant to bring clarity to the foundational elements that the brand stands for. So now, combining this knowledge with some of the beliefs that you've already written, there's only a few steps left to ensure that your brand belief system is strong and it will hold up over time. Section 5, archetype check. So now you've got your beliefs, and we reviewed some examples of other brands and their potential beliefs. So now an important part of the process is to run your beliefs through your archetype and make sure those two things line up. You're asking yourself, do these beliefs sound like they're coming from the personality archetype voice of my brand? For example, let's say I was working with an artist and they were a Rebel brand personality archetype and they presented me a set of beliefs. I'd be looking to see if those beliefs centered around freedom and creating your own path. Or as another example, let's say I was working with a creator brand archetype and they presented me their beliefs. I'd be looking to see if those were focused on creation, imagination, and a devotion to making things and sharing things. So you're making sure that the belief system lines up with the motivation of the archetype. And this is essential to making the full brand feel cohesive. So now that you've run it through the main filter, that is the archetype test, let's do a full stress test to make sure that all the other elements line up as well. So after running the beliefs through your brand archetype, and now those both line up and feel good, it's time to see if each belief makes it through a final stress test. So test number 1 is the hater test. Does your belief system create a clear enemy or someone who would be absolutely opposed to the set of beliefs? Remember, in order to have super fans, you're also going to have super haters. Test 2, the unique test. When you're looking at your lineup of beliefs, you're asking, do a few of these beliefs set the brand apart from other brands? Often what can happen during the build phase of the brand belief system is ideas are selected and they're absolutely true to the brand, but if you were to apply them to other brands, they would work just as well. For example, say you had, we believe in being authentic. Now, while that's a great belief to own, couldn't that statement or belief be applied to almost any brand in the world? Every brand is trying to show up authentically. So while it's true, it may be too generic and not unique enough to set the brand apart. When thinking about building your belief system, you should have a similar filter of finding and describing a few beliefs that are solely for your brand, and it would be hard to apply it to another brand. Test 3, the time test. So if trends change, can you still stand by these beliefs in 5 years? That's how you know a belief has legs and is pure. It's not just based on time or trends. Justice, who we talked about earlier, has been around for almost 20 years. And one of the brand beliefs we had for them was electronic music should hit as hard as a live band. Now, when running this belief through the time test, would this same belief hold up over the next 5 years? 10 years, 15 years. Yes, it would, because they had the same belief 20 years ago and it still remains true to them today. So as an example, this particular belief passes the time test. Test 4, the flip test. So now take the belief and reverse it. So with the reversed version, if we were to claim that version, would someone still possibly choose us for it? If they would, maybe the belief is too generic or it's not strong enough. Test 5, t-shirt test. So if you were to take a belief and put it on a t-shirt, does it feel more like a slogan or like a true belief that you could live by? You want it feeling like a belief you live by, and ideally a belief someone could identify with and own. For example, we had the belief with Mime Leondor that we believe in our history. The 1990s in Queens raised us alongside our Greek heritage. Maybe it wouldn't make for the best t-shirt graphic, but it's absolutely ownable. Test 6, the pledge. So I'm going to date myself here. But I grew up in a time where we said the Pledge of Allegiance to the American flag every morning in school. It was a unique part of our American culture. For better or worse, its purpose was to try and bond us to our country, its beliefs, and its ideals. But as an example for your brand, if someone were to read the beliefs, could they use it as their own, as a pledge to embody the spirit of what the idea of the brand was all about? Does this pledge hit emotional chords? Is it more about humanity and the human experience than it is a product or music? If so, you're in a great place because you're now tapping into primal human needs. So doing the stress test is the final step in building out the brand's belief system. But now you may be asking, how will these brand beliefs affect the other parts of my brand? Section 7, bringing it all together. So your brand beliefs will be a foundational element for your brand and its story. It will play into every aspect of your brand. It's essential in building a strong brand identity. And when you have a strong brand identity and it's clear, the fans of the brand use your identity as their own. The brand beliefs will help define what your movie is all about. Your archetype, your visual identity, how things are packaged, the video content, the photo content, the colors, it all plays into the brand's beliefs, the brand's personality, and the brand's voice. Defining your brand belief system will help define how the brand shows up at every touch point, trying to convert new members into the community. And as a note, we have individual videos on almost all these topics on the Neighborhood Art Supply channel if you're interested in watching those and going deeper with your brand. But I hope this helps. And if you need more help defining your brand beliefs, your brand story, or your brand's visual identity, you know where we are. All things The Cult Creatives, thecultcreatives.com. But until next time, good luck building your cult, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace.